The clock on Rachel Harper's phone read 11:47 when she pushed her cleaning cart into the executive suite of Sterling and Associates. 27 years old, working 2 jobs, raising a 6-year-old daughter alone. This was her life now. She wore a light blue polo shirt with Sparkle Clean Services embroidered on the pocket, yellow rubber gloves protecting her hands. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail. Exhaustion lived in her bones, but the bills didn't care how tired she was. Rachel had been cleaning offices for 3 years, ever since her husband left when their daughter Emma was just 3. The day job at the diner paid rent. The night cleaning job paid for everything else. Groceries, Emma's asthma medication, the occasional new shoes when the old ones wore through. The executive office she entered tonight belonged to Mr. Ashton Sterling, the firm's managing partner. She'd never met him. Rich people like that didn't notice the cleaning staff. They left their offices messy and expected them pristine by morning, never thinking about the hands that made that magic happen. Rachel started with the bookshelves, dusting the expensive law books she'd never read. She emptied the trash, wiped down the windows, vacuumed the Persian rug that probably cost more than her car. Then she approached the massive mahogany desk and saw the pink construction paper lying in the center, covered in a child's careful handwriting and crayon drawings. Rachel's heart stopped. She recognized that handwriting, recognized the way Emma drew flowers with too many petals and colored them in rainbow patterns. With shaking hands, Rachel picked up the letter. Dear Mr. Sterling, it read in Emma's careful printing. My name is Emma Harper. I am 6 years old. My mommy cleans your office at night. She works very hard. She has 2 jobs and she is always tired, but she never complains. She makes me breakfast and helps me with homework even when her feet hurt from standing all day. She is the best mommy in the whole world, but she is sad sometimes. She thinks I don't see, but I do. She cries in the bathroom when she thinks I'm asleep. She worries about money. I heard her on the phone saying she doesn't know how to pay for my medicine. Mr. Sterling, I looked you up at school. You are very important. You help people. Can you help my mommy? She deserves to be happy. She deserves someone to help her like she helps everyone else. Please. From Emma Harper. P.S. I drew you a picture of my mommy. She is beautiful even when she is tired. Below the letter was a crayon drawing. A blonde woman in a blue shirt with a heart on it, smiling despite the tears Emma had drawn on her cheeks. Rachel couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Horror and love and embarrassment crashed over her in waves. Emma must have taken this from her backpack while Rachel was showering before work. Must have snuck it into the cart while Rachel was saying goodbye. Her daughter had begged a stranger for help. Had laid bare all their struggles for a rich man who probably wouldn't even read it before throwing it away. Rachel's hands trembled as she folded the letter, intending to take it home, to pretend it never happened. I wouldn't have thrown it away. The voice made Rachel spin around. A man stood in the office doorway, mid-30s, wearing a dark suit despite the late hour, with serious eyes that held something Rachel couldn't quite read. Not anger, something softer. Mr. Sterling, Rachel stammered. I'm so sorry. I was just finishing cleaning. I didn't know anyone was here. You were going to take the letter, he said, walking into the office. Not threateningly, but with purpose. My daughter, Rachel said, her voice breaking. She shouldn't have. I'm sorry. She's 6. She doesn't understand that people don't just help because you ask. I'll speak to her. It won't happen again. Ashton Sterling moved to his desk and gently took the letter from Rachel's hands. He read it slowly, carefully, as if every word mattered. Your daughter thinks I'm important, he said quietly. She thinks I help people. She's young, Rachel said, wiping at her eyes. She doesn't know how the world works yet. Maybe she knows better than we do, Ashton replied. He looked at the crayon drawing, at the tears on the smiling woman's face. She sees you crying. Rachel's defenses crumbled. I try so hard not to let her see. I try to keep it together. But sometimes it's just too much. The bills keep coming. Her asthma got worse this year. The medication costs more. I'm working 16-hour days and it's still not enough. Sit down, Ashton said gently, gesturing to one of the leather chairs meant for clients. I can't. I'm working. I have 3 more offices to clean before my shift ends. Sit down, Rachel. Please. Something in his voice made her obey. She sank into the expensive chair, still clutching her yellow cleaning gloves. Ashton sat across from her, not behind his imposing desk, but in the other client chair. Equal footing. My mother was a cleaning woman, he said quietly. Single parent. Worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. I remember being 8 years old. Finding her asleep on the bathroom floor because she was too exhausted to make it to bed. Rachel looked up at him, seeing him differently now. I told myself that when I grew up, when I had money and power, I'd never forget what it was like. I'd never ignore the people who make the world run while the rest of us take credit. He held up Emma's letter. Your daughter reminded me of that promise. You don't owe us anything, Rachel whispered. Maybe not, Ashton agreed. But I owe my mother's memory something. And I owe Emma the respect of taking her request seriously. He pulled out his phone and made a call despite the late hour. Jennifer? Sorry to wake you. I need you to set up a meeting for tomorrow morning with HR and our community outreach director. Yes, it's urgent. Thank you. Rachel stared at him. What are you doing? This firm has a scholarship program for employees' children. Full ride through college. We have a wellness fund for medical expenses. And we have positions that pay better than cleaning offices at midnight. He met her eyes. If you're interested. I don't have a degree, Rachel said automatically. I dropped out of community college when I got pregnant. I don't have skills for an office job. You raised a daughter who wrote that letter, Ashton said, nodding to the pink paper. A child with that much compassion, that much courage, that much love. That doesn't happen by accident. You taught her to see people's humanity, to ask for help when it's needed, to fight for the people she loves. Those are exactly the skills we need. Tears streamed down Rachel's face. Why are you doing this? Ashton's expression grew distant, filled with old pain. Because 25 years ago, my mother cleaned offices like this. And she died of a heart attack at 42 because she couldn't afford to take a day off to see a doctor. Because she worked herself to death to give me opportunities and I never got to repay her. He looked at Rachel. I can't help my mother anymore. But I can help Emma's mother, and maybe that means something. Rachel couldn't speak through her tears. Go home, Ashton said gently. Be with your daughter. Come back tomorrow at 9. We'll figure out the details. Your salary continues during the transition. Emma's medication will be covered through the wellness fund starting immediately. This isn't charity, Rachel. This is recognizing value that was always there. 2 weeks later, Rachel started her new position as a client services coordinator. The work was challenging, but manageable. The salary was triple what she'd made cleaning. Emma's medication was covered. For the first time in years, Rachel could breathe. She arrived early one morning to find Ashton in the break room making coffee. Thank you, she said. The words felt insufficient for everything he'd given her. Thank Emma, Ashton replied. She's the one who had the courage to ask. She wants to meet you, Rachel admitted. She talks about you like you're a superhero. Ashton smiled, and Rachel realized it was the first time she'd seen him smile. I'm just a man trying to do better than I did yesterday. The next week, Rachel brought Emma to the office on a Saturday when it was quiet. The little girl was shy at first, hiding behind her mother's legs. But when Ashton knelt down to her level, she emerged. You're Mr. Sterling, Emma said. And you're Emma Harper, Ashton replied. I wanted to thank you for your letter. It reminded me of something important. What? Emma asked. That the most valuable people are often the ones nobody sees, like your mama. She's extraordinary, Emma. You were right about that. Emma beamed. Then she did something that made both adults freeze. She hugged Ashton, her small arms wrapping around his neck. Thank you for helping my mommy be happy again, she whispered. Ashton's eyes filled with tears. He returned the hug gently. Thank you for teaching me to remember what matters. Over the following months, something unexpected happened. Ashton began stopping by Rachel's desk to chat. Not as boss to employee, but as two people who understood what it meant to struggle and survive. He told her about his mother, about growing up poor, about the guilt of success when the person who sacrificed for it didn't live to see it. Rachel told him about her fears, her dreams for Emma. the slow process of learning to trust herself again after her husband's abandonment. 6 months after Emma's letter, Rachel and Ashton sat together in the park, watching Emma play on the swings. "Can I tell you something?" Ashton said. "That letter changed more than just your life. I've restructured how we treat support staff, increased wages, added benefits, created advancement opportunities." Emma's courage rippled out. "She'd be proud of that," Rachel said. "She still talks about being a superhero when she grows up, helping people who need it." "She already is one," Ashton replied. He turned to look at Rachel. "So are you. You raised a child to have that kind of heart while fighting battles most people can't imagine." Rachel met his eyes. "You gave us a chance when you didn't have to. That's its own kind of heroism." "It wasn't heroism," Ashton said quietly. "It was paying forward what I wished someone had done for my mother." "But somewhere along the way it became something else." "What?" Rachel asked. "It became me realizing that the woman who works twice as hard as anyone I know, who loves her daughter fiercely, who faces impossible odds with quiet dignity, that woman is someone I want in my life. Not just as an employee, as more." Rachel's breath caught. "Ashton, I know the power dynamic is complicated," he said quickly. "I know you might feel pressure because I'm your boss, so I'm not asking for anything right now. I'm just telling you that when you're ready, if you're ever interested, I'd like to take you to dinner. As equals. As two people who found something rare in each other." Rachel thought about the exhausted woman who'd cleaned his office months ago, about how far she'd come, about the fact that this man had seen her at her lowest and chosen to lift her up rather than ignore her. "I'd like that," she said softly, "when the time is right. When we can be sure it's real and not just gratitude or guilt or anything complicated." "Whenever you're ready," Ashton agreed. "I'm patient. You're worth waiting for." Emma ran over, demanding they both watch her do a cartwheel. They laughed and applauded, and in that moment, they were just 3 people who'd found each other across impossible circumstances. A year later, Ashton framed Emma's letter and hung it in his office. Not hidden away, but prominent. A reminder of what matters, of the courage it takes to ask for help, of the responsibility that comes with power, of the fact that sometimes the most important messages come written in crayon on pink construction paper. Rachel would walk by it sometimes and remember that night. The terror of finding her daughter's plea on a stranger's desk. The shock of discovering that stranger had a heart that remembered struggle. The slow, careful building of something real from the ashes of desperation. She'd learned that asking for help isn't weakness. That accepting kindness doesn't diminish your strength. That sometimes the very thing you're most ashamed of becomes the bridge to everything you needed. And Emma, she learned that her mother was right all along. That the world has people in it who choose kindness. That being brave enough to ask for help can change lives. That love shows up in unexpected places when we're courageous enough to be vulnerable. The letter had been a child's desperate attempt to save her mother. It had become a catalyst for change, a foundation for love, and proof that sometimes the smallest voices carry the most important messages. If this story touched your heart, please like and share it with someone who needs to be reminded that asking for help is an act of courage. Subscribe for more stories about unexpected kindness and second chances. Comment below about a time when vulnerability led to blessing, or when someone's compassion changed your life. Your story matters and could give someone else the courage to reach out.